Hello there bitches, I'm Jacket and this is my show, Late News with Jacket. Okay, so let's do it. The news specific topics is going to about science only specifically. Let's begin. Antares rocket launches NASA cargo to space station in dazzling pre-dawn liftoff partner series Wallops Island, Virginia and the Northrop Grumman Antares rocket lit up the pre-dawn sky over Virginia Saturday, November 17th to launch a privately built Cygnus spaceship filled with NASA supplies, and even some ice cream, to the International Space Station. The Antares rocket soared into the clear, chilly skies over Virginia's eastern shore carrying an uncrewed Cygnus spacecraft filled with tons of science experiments, food, and other vital supplies for the space station's crew. Liftoff occurred at 4:01 a.m. EST 0901 Greenwich Mean Time, from Pad 0A of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport here at NASA's Wallops Flight Facility after 2 days of delay due to bad weather. What an outstanding launch, said Joel Montalbano, NASA's Deputy Station Program Manager, after the dazzling liftoff. Cygnus is now on track for an arrival at the station on Monday, November 19th, he added. There's about 7,400 pounds, 3,400 kilograms, for the station's 3-person Expedition 57 crew packed aboard the Cygnus spacecraft. That includes fresh fruit and ice cream, a welcome treat for the astronauts, Montalbano said before launch. Fucking rockets, Oleo. Next thing is, error in major climate study revealed warming not higher than expected. A major new climate study in the journal Nature got worldwide media coverage for finding that the oceans warmed dramatically faster than previously thought but now the researchers have retracted that conclusion after a man in the United Kingdom blogged about flaws he discovered in the paper. Just 2 weeks after publication, the study authors have revised their paper, and now conclude that the oceans are warming fast, but at the same rate as other measurements have found. A study co-author took responsibility for the error. I accept responsibility for these oversights, because it was my role to ensure that details of the measurements were correctly understood and taken up by co-authors, study co-author Rolf Keeling wrote in an explanation of the revision. Gee, let's get to the other one, Oleo. Jesus. China's artificial sun reaches fusion temperature, 100 million degrees. The East reactor was able to heat hydrogen to temperatures exceeding 100 million degrees Celsius. Nuclear fusion could someday provide the planet with a virtually limitless supply of clean energy. Still, scientists have many other obstacles to pass before fusion technology becomes a viable energy source. Scientists in China have reported a major breakthrough in the quest for nuclear fusion technology, which would harness power through the same processes that occur within stars. At the experimental Advanced Superconducting Tokamak East reactor in Hefei, China, researchers managed to heat hydrogen within the artificial sun to a temperature of more than 100 million degrees Celsius, or 212 million degrees Fahrenheit, at which point it becomes plasma. The temperatures inside East are actually about 7 times hotter than the center of the sun, where the added pressure from gravity allows for fusion to occur. In Earth, extreme temperatures are necessary to produce nuclear fusion, which occurs when 2 nuclei come together to form a heavier nucleus. The fusion process releases vast amounts of heat and energy, the results of which we can see when we look up at the sun, or any star in the night sky. Fucking A. A fucking song by China. Gee, let's move on, shall we? This one is disgusting. Bizarre microbes represent a major new branch in the evolutionary family tree. Canadian scientists have identified microscopic creatures that are so unlike anything seen before, they had to create an entirely new branch in the evolutionary tree of life to slot them in. A new paper published this week in Nature offers the first genetic analysis of Remimastignotes, a rare and poorly understood group of single-celled microorganisms. Biologists have known about these wee beasties for well over a century, but only now can Remimastignotes be officially slotted into the evolutionary tree of life, a process more formally known as phylogeny. And by doing so, scientists have stumbled upon a completely new branch in the tree of life N-1 dating back billions of years. Yama Eglet, a doctoral student at Dalhousie University and a co-author of the new study, found 2 different species of Remimastignotes M-1 already known and one completely new to science M-in soil samples collected along the Bluff Wilderness Trail in Nova Scotia, Canada. The previously known species is called Spironema and the new one was dubbed Remimastix cuquisjij, pronounced Kuan-Kan-Wesen-Jij-Jij-K, which means rapacious hairy ogre in the language of the Mi'kmaq First Nations people of Nova Scotia. Rapacious and hairy, indeed. These single-celled, Free-roaming predators feature two rows of hair-like flagella, which they use for locomotion and grasping onto prey. Gymnastics feeds by connecting its mouth and dash, if it can be called that, and dash to the surface of its equally microscopic prey, sucking up the victim's cytoplasm, according to observations made by Eglin and her colleagues. Okay, moving on. Man's runny nose was actually leaking brain fluid. A North Carolina man said he ruined Thanksgiving for his family last year when fluid reportedly seeped out of his nose and into the holiday dinner. I was preparing a meal and standing in the kitchen and it just added itself to the ingredients and it screwed up the whole dinner, Greg Philpotts, of Johnston County, told. Philpotts, who had been dealing with the runny nose on and off for 5 years and thought it was allergies, made an appointment at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York in February and discovered it was actually a cerebral fluid leak. Philpotts underwent corrective surgery and said it was a relief to suddenly be able to breathe again. Well, God bless, Jesus Christ, fucking guy without a nose. That is such an oof. Am I right? Next thing is going 1 million miles per hour with advanced propulsion. Advanced propulsion breakthroughs are near. Spacecraft have been stuck at slow chemical rocket speeds for years and we can drive for decades. However, speeds over 1 million miles per hour before 2050 are possible. There are surprising new innovations with technically feasible projects. NASA Institute for Advanced Concepts, NIAC, is funding two high-potential concepts. New ion drives could have 10 times better in terms of ice and power levels 10,000 times higher. Antimatter propulsion and multi-megawatt ion drives are being developed. This is written by Brian Wong of Next Big Future. Brian will be writing regular guest articles for Universe Today. Raffle. Let's top it down with this thing. While we never forget how to ride a bike, there's scientific truth to the saying that you never forget how to ride a bike. Even if you can't remember phone numbers, birthdays, or where the hell you parked your car, it's likely that, even if you haven't been on a bicycle in decades, you can climb on and ride away just fine. Why? Neuropsychologist Boris Suchin of Germany's Ruhr University Bochum lays it out, as best we know in Scientific American. And there is a lot to read. Continuing. As it turns out, different types of memories are stored in distinct regions of our brains. Long-term memory is divided into two types, declarative and procedural. There are two types of declarative memory. Recollections of experiences such as the day we started school and our first kiss are called episodic memory. This type of recall is our interpretation of an episode or event that occurred. Factual knowledge, on the other hand, such as the capital of France, is part of semantic memory. These two types of declarative memory content have one thing in common and you are aware of the knowledge and can communicate the memories to others. Skills such as playing an instrument or riding a bicycle are, however, anchored in a separate system, called procedural memory. As its name implies, this type of memory is responsible for performance. According to one idea, in the regions where movement patterns are anchored, fewer new nerve cells may be formed in adults. Without this neurogenesis, or continuous remodeling in those regions, it's less likely for those memories to get erased. Jesus. Is that all? Let me check. Ha fucking raw. I'm out of this shitstorm. The news are over, everybody. Time to GTFO, XDDD, swa swa swa.